Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Marlene. Today's video is going to be about crystals or quartz, crystal quartz. I wanted to do this video to tell you how you can connect with them, how to cleanse them, how to charge them, how to activate them, like some advice, some personal stories. And I know there's a lot of videos already on the internet about this and books and all of that like stuff, but I just wanted to bring like my own point of view, because when you're like on your spiritual journey, this is something that most likely you're gonna like encounter if you haven't like already had like your own little story with how you came with like crystal quartz, right? So let's get started. I have here like a kind of like questions, and so in case I go too ahead of myself, like that I can like stay on track, right? So we're gonna start first with like what crystals are. So pretty much we all know they're like minerals that come from the earth underneath the earth, that they have to like be, some of them have to be digging to get them, but they pretty much spend their whole lifetimes. I have them right here. Unfortunately, like I couldn't get the phone to like flip it, but I have my own quartz right here. They spend a lot of time underneath the earth just becoming crystallized, right? So they have this whole energy in them just for you to like be able to experience them, and days in your life where they spend years and years just to be able to become a crystal. So that's very like amazing just to know like they have a lot of history energy in them just to be the way they are, right? So each crystal has their own vibration depending on their color, their mineral content, and depending on that is what the properties that they're gonna have physically and energetically. So I don't want to go into details what each of like the crystals do, because there's a whole list of them, and that literally takes even like a whole I don't know, like semester in college, or like even like a whole degree, right? So we're gonna go more in terms of like frequency of energy. So like Nikola Tesla once said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, you must think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So this minerals, these crystals, they all have their own unique frequency, their own energy. They have like a task for them to do, to be. um so when they emit these frequencies, our bodies are like antennas that will catch on to that like frequency. Like you have to think about them as like mm, antennas, like Wi-Fi, you can see it, or like radio frequencies, you can see them, you can feel it sometimes, but there's something that is able to catch like an antenna those frequencies for you to be able to experience the internet, for you to be able to experience like the internet. So you have to have like a receptor that's able to accept those frequencies. So these crystals, that's what they do basically. They act like an antenna that catches anything that vibrates to that frequency to kind of like magnetize it and bring it to your life. And same thing with your body, is like your body's able to, we're always being targeted with frequencies. Even if you're in nature, you're always being, there's always energies around you. So these are just more like physical, more stable energies that emit a certain frequency for you to be able to either expand or bring it into your life, or help you to like let go. But I'm gonna talk a little bit more on that in here. But just some facts on quartz: they're pretty much like the second most abundant mineral on earth, behind feldspar. Quartz, or crystalline mineral, they're composed of silica, and they're classified as gemstones. So these are minerals that in the scale of Mohs, which is a scale to measure like hardness, they usually have a value of 7, so they are pretty hard rocks. um, they are formed again in molten magma or throughout like underneath the ground, um, and they're primarily used in like industrially for to make like electronics, or even like watches. They also work like conductors of energy. So Nikola Tesla was one of those people that realized about like the power of crystals, so he tried to work with this like energy. So how do you get into crystals? Okay, so some of us usually don't grow up like with crystals in their homes, especially if you come from like a conservative family like I did. You don't grow around crystals in your house, but for those of you that did, like you probably already know or are familiar with like just buying them and stuff like that, right? But if you were to get into crystals for your spiritual growth, I would say to have like a predetermined set of like energies that you want to bring into your life. For example, most people usually go for a rose quartz, usually when they're trying to find love or when they're like heartbroken, and usually they don't realize that they're doing it like out of desperation, and they don't understand the whole thing about frequencies and how attraction like works. But it's a good starting point, you know, because you're understanding that hey, this crystal has the potential to make that energy of self of love be more abundant in my aura, you know, in my field, in my quantum or space, you know. So it's kind of like how most people usually start. um or just like if you find it in like jewelry, or you find them like aesthetics, like this amethyst, a lot of people just go because they're shiny, they're pretty, and for decor. um and nothing wrong with doing that. But again, I if I were to begin again with like my crystal collection, um which I have it right here, wish I could show you, but pretty much uh, you want to start with understanding their properties and that they do something in your life. You have to look at them almost like a plant that needs like attention from you, that you have to like activate them, cleanse them. It's like a process of having crystals. Okay, I will say I will start with the basic ones, so the ones that are correlated with the chakras. So even if you don't know anything about Reikis or anything like that, I will just get like a very basic kit that has the seven, oops, the seven chakras. Wait, it's like this. So like 7 crystals, right? So you would have just your basic ones. And then from there you will go to buy whatever you think you need more, or like for something more like specific. I wouldn't go for like your zodiac sign unless you just, you know, you really want to have one. Like why not, right? Like don't restrict yourself from doing that, right? But I wouldn't say go for that, because there's a lot of like, you wouldn't say like a standard rule for what specific crystal is for each zodiac sign. So you might have like a couple of them just for your sign, and at the end you might have just a bunch of them, and you're not really getting the most out of each crystal just because you have that one, right? I feel like you will get the most value from them, or like, you know, like as a tool, as an energetic tool, you would get more um just based on the chakra systems. Okay, so how we're gonna connect to the crystals. So this is one thing that when you don't have your like your upper chakras active, you won't really necessarily feel. But for those of us that do have more active, like our clairs, or like our clear vision, clear sentence, we feel the crystals, we see the crystals, like their energy. So each crystal it's how you're gonna connect to them is through your light body. So pretty much is you have your emotional body, your what is it, your pain body, and your light body, which is the one that it's kind of like your aura that senses things around you. So pretty much that's how you're gonna connect with your crystal. You're gonna feel a certain energy from it. So here's how you pretty much do, like, once you're like thinking about buying a certain crystal, is that you want to grab that crystal with your left hand because it's the one that's receptive, that energetically is like connected to the heart, and you're gonna feel how that crystal makes you feel when you touch it. Like you're gonna sense it, you're gonna try to see if you perceive like anything when you touch it, any visions. This obviously depends on the person, and just go from there, just touch them, feel them, and see how it's like a subtle energy. Okay, and once you do that, okay, um that's a way for you to know if you feel like you'd gravitate towards that crystal, right? Once you have a crystal, the next thing is you're gonna activate them. So I was thinking how to present this, because most people say charge crystals, but I say activate. But I feel like it's almost the same. Like you want to activate a crystal to do something for you, and charging them is kind of like you just expanding that frequency. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like you're broadcasting it a little bit more. But for my video, I just want to say how you activate crystals, okay? But a lot of people will use the word charging. So how you will activate a crystal is, again, you are gonna hold it with your left hand, and you're gonna put it close to your third eye, and with your thoughts, your feelings, you're gonna set an intention. You're gonna pretty much program the crystal to do like a specific task. For example, this rose quartz, let's say I gave it the intention to help me balance um, my heart chakra. So I want to learn more about self-love. Like I want to learn how to love myself unconditionally and love others unconditionally, something like that, right? So you will do that. You will like close your eyes and just like visualize, again, imagine it. Whew, that was a lot. But yeah, you will do things like that. To the crystals that you want to activate. Again, if you, let's say, work at a spa and you want to have like a crystal, you can do that too. Like you can set the intention for a crystal to literally just work as like clearing the energy on that room, um, purifying spaces, things like that. Okay. um so once you do that, pretty much they're active. Okay, but again, a lot of people will say you have to charge them. So how to charge them, how to expand that energy can be done through a lot of different things. Most people do only moonlight, which is perfect. I think it's like the best thing you could do. Put your crystals out in the moonlight and set your intentions. Some people use sunlight, but you just have to do your research which crystals can do sunlights, because some of them will fade or just break down from like the sunlight. You can also charge it with water, or I've seen it people doing like moon water. So they'll put crystals inside the water and leave it out in the moonlight. You again have to be very careful with what crystals can be how do I say, like submerged with water, because some of them can release toxic substances. Some of them are not safe, or can like again break down. Just this, you just have to do your research, okay? But most of them are safe in water. Another thing you could do is through just meditating, praying, or yeah, it's the same as like meditation. So to cleanse them, we do cleanses with crystals because it's kind of like, again, like radio frequencies. So if there's a lot of frequencies coming to that antenna, it's kind of like you want to have it um, on that specific frequency, so it doesn't get like static. You know, if you're moving too out of it, like out of tune of it, like it's gonna get static. So it's the same with like the crystals. Like if a lot of people like touch them or they're around a lot of people, you want to cleanse them. And there's nothing wrong with people touching your crystals, but let's say if you have one there specifically for, let's say that you use it for under your pillow for better sleeping, most likely you don't want people to be touching your crystals. But if that happens again, you can just cleanse them. You can do this through prayer, through the use of incense such as myrrh, palo santo, sage. And with incense, what you do is you kind of loop them around the smoke, so that creates kind of like a protective barrier that like cleanses anything negative out of them. The other one is in the waxing gibbous moon cycle. So it's when the moon is like fading, going into the new moon. So it's from the full moon to the new moon. That like part of that cycle, it's for releasing, for cleansing. Okay, so it's very important to use it for that. You can also use selenite. So selenite is one of those magical crystals that is kind of like best friends with all the crystals. So it will like reset any crystals that you have in your home. And the other thing you could do is sound baths, such as like this sound bowls that just they emit this like frequency, so they clear your crystals, or the sound of bells. Also certain like fragrances, that's how you will cleanse them. Most common uses, so most people use them in like decorations, or rituals for protection, jewelry or plants or water bottles. Um, Rituals can be like the use of Reiki or sound baths, meditation ceremonies, or in case you want to do like your dream journal, like you can use them to help you like remember your dreams or have more vivid dreams, or help you like with insomnia. Like that depends on the property, right, of the crystal, um to guide you, so like divine guidance, or like use them while you're doing like tarot cards, like for protection. You can use them to manifest, and pretty much like the list goes on, right? um there's a specific crystals that I like to talk about. I think it's, yeah, let's see, I don't remember the name, but pretty much it helps you block the EFM frequencies. So these are frequencies that are always being emitted by electronics, like your cell phone, your computers, like the Wi-Fi, because that's what they do. They act like as a barrier through that frequency, and that's actually like being proved like scientifically, that they block those radio frequency. Another great use is again to purify spaces. So like if you have one, let's say in your entrance in the living room, to help you either like bring good vibes, or like just help you clear out that like that energy. um and again, they're used in a lot of industrial projects or like electronics, but they're also used in like our construction places, such as like kitchen counters. A lot of them are made with certain quartz, and they can get very, very pricey. But a lot of people are not even aware of like these properties that they have, again, for the soul. So a lot of people will go into a kitchen, or yeah, like they'll travel to a place that the kitchen counter is made of a like specific stone, and that brings them like more like calmness, or like they feel relaxed, and they'll wonder why, but they don't know. It's literally the crystal, or like when they're like around it, right? Um, Back then in like Egypt, crystals were used for, um, I think it was like economic status. So depending on the jewelry that you had on you, that will like tell the people around you like, oh, this person is from such and such, right? um in crowns, people will put crystals in crowns to help them like channel things. So their use have been, again, being studied for years and years, so it's nothing new to crystals. Just by having one, again, doesn't define you as a person, so don't think that you're giving out all your power to a crystal. So this is where I'm going about like my own advice. So I would say like you don't necessarily need to have a crystal to be able to like manifest or to bring these things into your life. Again, I feel like crystals are a tool and they need to be used such as a tool, like you want to have them, clean. You want to use them frequently. And this is my personal advice, like if you're gonna just have a stash, like let's say this one just in a drawer never being used, you might as well just either like bury them, give them away, or sell them to somebody that maybe will either appreciate them, or um some people sometimes either just don't feel the connection anymore with the crystal, and you probably maybe feel like it's time to let it go. It has like a purpose, like it has fulfilled its purpose, so it's like a child, you have to let it go. But I will say like don't see them as something just to have them, you know I've seen this a lot where they get really hyped about crystals and they'll buy a bunch and then they'll curse them, saying that they have bring their doom to their lives. But they don't realize like these crystals, they're just being themselves. It's like you can't tell a rose quartz to be an obsidian rock. Like they're not the same. Like they spend years being trying to be that. So like if you are blaming the crystals for all your problems and things like that, like I'll probably just say like just get rid of it or give it to somebody else that probably will appreciate them. And again, there's a lot of articles, a lot of books that I think we all can benefit from having crystals. I personally love to have just basic ones in jewelry, just so I can have them around and be reminded of them. Some of them, like this one, I always have like near my bed because again it helps me sleep better. And sometimes I even take it like out because I'll feel my bad. I feel like very sleepy with it, so I will literally put it in the closet, and then bring it out when I need it again. So it's kind of like a cycle. Sometimes crystals can come in and out of your life. Again, that's why I say start with like your chakras, because it's gonna pinpoint you on what crystal you will be more benefited from. Like me, for example, I the beginning I really had like a problem with just codependency, in my relationship. So that's why I gravitated towards the rose crystals. And then later on when I learned about like chakras and this and that and have my spiritual awakening, I was like, oh, okay, I need to maybe get another one for this one, and just started looking at different ones. How to care for crystals. So pretty much you have to remember that crystals are like almost like plants, so they do need attention. They're almost like a live object. Okay, so you have to understand that they're gonna bring certain things into your life that because they resonate with that crystal. So for me, for example, when I had my clear quartz, why do I keep saying clear quartz? When I had my rose quartz, I was really in tune with like bringing more plants to my home, doing more like rituals of self-care, taking baths, being out in nature. Like for some reason I felt like I had to do that when I was like around that crystal. So you just have to be aware that they're always bringing a certain frequency into your field. So that's why it's kind of like you don't want to have a lot of them, because sometimes you might not, just know which crystal is coming from. I mean, unless you have like very clear uh balance like chakras, then you don't get that moved around. But if you're like me, that you get a little bit too like moved around by the energies of the crystals, that's why I kind of like cycle them. Like I put them away once I'm done working with them for like a season, and then I'll bring them out again. And again, if you have like beliefs that hold you back from having crystals, again, crystals are not for everybody. But if you have like a very negative connotation, like if the first thing that comes into your mind is that crystals are evil, that they're used for witchcraft or doing it like black magic and things like that, I just wouldn't have one. I wouldn't recommend it, because just that to me, like you're not ready for crystals. But if you do feel like you want to expand, you want to open your mind and be like just curious, about them, like do your research, um, and just be aware, that they're gonna help you in the same way that like kind of like a teacher would do. It's not gonna do all the work for you, but it's gonna guide you on something that you need on that moment, right? um what else? So my personal stories with crystals, I have a lot, but I just want to say, like, when I first came with in contact with like my first crystals, it was like in Mexico, and it was very like, this is when I guess like I wasn't like spiritual awake, but I was just doing them, or yeah, like using them like intuitively. I would put them like under the moonlight. I think it's called like inertia. Like I would do a lot of things by inertia, but I wouldn't even feel nothing. I would just do it, which is okay, But later on, when I actually felt the crystals, I was like, oh, okay, I was onto something. So I guess it was like an instinct that I knew that crystals are supposed to be like activated that way. But again, they're used mainly in like protection rituals, like tourmaline. I had a necklace of tourmaline that I had for about like 2-3 months, and then it literally like disappeared. Like I couldn't find it. And when I read stories online about tourmaline, a lot of stories said the same thing, that their tourmaline rock disappeared from them. So again, it's like if the crystal or stone is like fulfill its purpose, it's gonna tell you kind of like, hey, I'm ready to go, or let me go, or like something, like you just have to be able to sense the subtle changing frequencies and what like the crystals are trying to tell you. Don't go again for aesthetics, go more for like the properties, because there's a lot of beautiful crystals out there. So if you're just gonna go by aesthetics, like literally, um have a budget, don't go in depth just because of crystals, okay? And again, don't buy them out of like desperation. Buy them because like you understand their process. And yeah, I think that's all I have for today. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on my next video.